battle roars, but this war is more than what it was before. It's for tomorrow, for every spark, for Cybertron and the light in the dark. Transformers, robots in disguise. Transformers, more than meets the eye. Transformers, from dark to light. Transformers, hear the call. Transformers, stand for all. From the ashes we rise again. For Cybertron, for
And now, through the magic of the Cybernet Space Cube, the computer-enhanced podcast of the future, Transformers Slag Podcast.
What's up, everybody? How we all doing this Saturday night? It's a Transformers Slag Podcast tonight live stream main event. I'm your host, Protoman. I'm the face that runs this place. I'm the voice you hear Monday to Friday. It is Saturday. Hair's a little messy today. We kind of ran late. We were busy with a crazy snowstorm locally here in Montreal, so the hat hair is worse than normal. Got to get a haircut anyways. So how we all doing? It's been quite the interesting week for Transformer reveals and stuff. We have a lot to talk about, and we're just going to chill and talk about the robots in disguise and just relax like we always do. But who do we got in the chat today? Let's take a look. So we got a lot of people in here, a lot of YouTube members that have joined recently from last week, along with a bunch of other stuff too. So let's take a look. We got the twins. What's up? How you doing, twins? I'll be seeing you very, very soon in LA. Mayor Fabrication, another one I'll be seeing soon in LA. We got Patrick Brown. We got James. We got Big Bot Bodega. We got Cringe McCringle. What's up? What's up? Go check out Cringe's videos. He did a really good review on Frenzy recently from the Michael Bay movies. We got Will Murphy. We got James Hopkins again. I'm trying to see who else we got. We got Lake CW from the patrons. We got Big Easy. We got T-Formers 2002. We got Bigum. Who else? Who else? Who else? I want to make sure I don't miss nobody. Tom Laney just popped in. James is here. Got a lot of people. Y. Hope I don't miss nobody. Everyone's slowly popping in. I'll catch everybody on the flip side. We got a lot to cover today. Quite a few. What's up, Ninjatron? A lot of stuff. A lot of craziness. A lot of little things. A lot of big things. I will say this. I discovered how popular the sport of soccer is by just how poorly my report has been of a certain figure. In all my years, it's never taken me this long to get to 1,000 views on anything. I guess people don't love soccer. At least the American audience. But we'll get into that. So let's talk about it. We're going to start first with a pre-order that dropped on Tuesday and then instantly sold out, which led to a lot of bad feels, and I don't blame them. Oh, we already got a super chat too. Media Max, what's up, my man? You got Titan Scorponok twice as big as you thought. Well, I think Titan Scorponok was the last of the really massive ones if you don't count like Cybertron Metroplex, because then they started to shrink a little bit. But yeah, at Scorponok should be a Titan class, as he should, a full size one. One of the big boys of the past should be one of the big boys of the future. So then, let's talk about this one right here. Let's talk about Hound. Dropped on Target's website. Target had a sale going on, literally that exact same week. So not only did they have a pre-order drop, but it was a pre-order that dropped already on sale. So a lot of lucky people were able to pick up this Hound for only $19.99 on the 20% off deal that was happening on all Transformer toys at Target. But of course, it sold out instantly. And again, rightfully so, because there was a need for this figure for people that didn't want to buy the 5-packs and everything associated with that. So, hey, I'm happy for them that they were able to get this product and get it cheaper than normal MSRP. $19.99. What are we back in 2016? Jeez. Going back in time almost more than 10 years to get that price on launch. Good stuff. Good stuff. So again, it sucks, but keep in mind, like Nate has said, this stuff will be available in spring. There will be, cases of these that will be available at Targets. And if you are not a American, other retail chains will carry these Target exclusives like a GameStop or an EB Games or something, or some kind of, wild card. Maybe even, maybe even the scant few Toys R Us's that are left here in Canada will be carrying it. But either way, opportunities will present itself, so do not worry about that. Usually, and I've seen this many times before, it goes from, oh my God, I want to get it, to, oh my God, that's all I see in stores. So we'll see how this one handles. And of course, going by this little chart that we have here from JT Prime 17, we have another one coming that I feel is not going to sell out at all. So on January 20th, we have a Voyager class Scourge here. So these are the images from JT Prime, the retail stock images. Now, I've had a lot of people tell me that they think that this is it's a straight up 100% reissue of the original Studio Series 86 Voyager class Scourge, but at the same time, people have been staring very closely at the face sculpt and noticing the paint on it and going, oh, maybe it's the matrix in the chest corrupted Scourge because of how bad the paint is on his left eye. And I remember zooming in on this, and that's what you have there on the bottom right. And, going like, man, was it always that bad? And again, I pulled out mine, giggity. I pulled out mine just to double check. And I mean, mine has proper eye, eye to color ratio, if you will. And let me just pull out my phone here because I kind of planned this in advance. Where is it? I even took a photo of my figure and zoomed in just so we could see. And I mean, it looks good to me. Looks pretty straight and proper on my figure I have in my hand, which I bought during the launch of Studio Series. So these ones here looks a little crooked. That's what people are saying. Maybe it's just the provided stock figure. Maybe the figure that was given to the photographer had bad deco applications, and as a result is not giving a good look for the figure, because in no way does it imply that this is supposed to be a different version. This looks like a straight up, unless, some people are saying, oh, the hue of the blue and the purple is different. That could also be the lighting, because you look at the photography and it looks very blue, but then you look at the figure itself and it looks kind of the purpley blue. So who knows? Who knows? But we'll see just in a couple of days. This will be the next pre-order that'll be going live on Transformer Tuesday. MSRP, according to JT Prime's listing, is going to be $34.99. And yeah, let's see how it goes. I mean, a hot take, I think this one's not going to sell out. Even though Scourge is kind of creeping a little bit up in value in the secondary market, you could still kind of pick them up for MSRP, if not cheaper, if you're willing to buy loose. There's still plenty of opportunities to pick this guy up. I think the only reason why they just used it because they were like, well, we got to use the tooling again, I guess. I mean, I don't really see this one. I don't really see the deeper reason. If anything, the sweeps would have made more sense because at least you could army build with that one, even though it's a very slight difference. But it is what it is. Maybe we'll learn more in an upcoming live stream or something that we're more than overdue for from the Hasbro team. That'll give us some explanation of the choices that were made and why they were made. But yeah, there's that too. So let me know what you think about that one. But it is what it is. Then, of course, we had the T Spark event. And T Spark with Yuki san, that was the host. It was the live stream from Takara Tomy. They posted a whole bunch of images, as well as they had a demonstration of transformation and showing little things here and there. Nothing that was too revealing. I was kind of hoping for, like, I guess the Japanese are not really good at, like, oh, we're going to give you a big surprise that you didn't expect in this live stream. No, everything that was there was more or less expected to be there. There was no, like, oh, at the end, surprise, we're going to show you a little secret or something, or an extra reveal. So they pretty much showed, here's the MPMN movie masterpiece next, Sideswipe, Revenge of the Fallen, along with the G1 Red version. The only takeaway from the live stream was Yuki-san mentioned that the Takara Tomy designer for this stated that while they were aware that there was a Swerve version of this character in America, it was not available in Japan, the Swerve version, both the deluxe class and the legend scale. But the red repaint of the Sideswipe mold was available in Japan in a box set, because Age of Extinction in Japan was called Lost Age. And they had a box set, which was also available in America, that came with an Optimus and the Swerve figure repackaged and relabeled as Sideswipe. So that's why this one is called Sideswipe here. Because in Japan, they've only associated this red version with one character of what has been available in retail in their region. A little bit of history with that. But looks great. Looks cool. Again, I'll wait for that third-party head to come around and give him a new head sculpt, and then we could have both versions side by side. And pretty affordable. It comes to about like $85, $90, depending on which retailer you're getting. But that doesn't surprise me too much, because I remember Jazz also being pretty affordable. And again, that's the scale with the car, price point anyways, with a lot of Masterpiece. So not too surprised ultimately in the end, but good price. Good price. Gives you a good opportunity to get both if you do want both, because most Masterpieces, even the Beast Wars ones, will run you sometimes $150, $200, and you could kind of get both of these for $160 if you have a really good distributor, retailer, or purchaser. So I dig it. I dig it a lot. Very cool. Very, very cool. Deep cut and very cool. And then we got this bad boy. Now we got the full photo shoot of him, as well as his pose, of course, his beautiful pose to represent his 1985 G1 box art. We got the Missing Link C12 Grimlock, and now we know how the articulation is going to be. And this continues my sentiment that I've said for quite a while now, that if there's a missing link, if you want to get an idea of what that articulation is going to be, look no further than the box art. And even more so now, which is something that even I learned this time around with the Grimlock, even look at the coloring of accessories. Because when we first were shown Grimlock, I was like, oh, interesting. They didn't go with the red sword, which would be toy accurate. They went with a silvery sword. I was like, that's interesting, because even in the show, his sword was red. That's an interesting choice. And then it dawned on me only afterwards, his original G1 box art had a silvery sword. So this Missing Link version is trying to be the most box art accurate as possible, and it did a fantastic job. Articulation is great. The Carly figure is an interesting surprise. Again, we had what we assumed was Carly with the Delta Magnus repaint. I guess that's a different story here. This one's more colored to look like Carly, even though it's the same sculpt of Microman female with that little, I guess we'll call it chest flap, which represents Carly's cardigan that she wore in the show. But very cool. I dig it. This guy too, if you find the right distributor, you could find them for under $100. I've seen 80, 90, 95. So it really depends who you're buying from, but you could pick them up for under $100 pretty easily. And considering, I mean, a complete G1 Grimlock without the box could run you $150 to $200 today. So to get something that's pretty comparable and dare I say maybe even a little better, um, you got it right here for under 100. I dig it. Again, it's not the original vintage. Obviously, there's a different, weight and value with something like that, but it gives you definitely a similar experience. And very, very cool. Very, very cool. And we will see who the next missing link is. I imagine maybe they'll probably push out a anime colored version if this one sells very well, which I imagine it will. This will probably sell quite well indeed. And we'll see how it goes down. We'll see how it goes down indeed. Then we got this guy, Mr. Glow in the Dark. We got the full photo shoot. And Transformers New Legends, the new series that is going to be coming from Takara Tomy. Again, another parallel line to our Generations flavored stuff, whether it be at this point, Age of the Primes or whatever. So we got here the New Legends, legendary Green Lion, Lio Convoy with glow in the dark, ability. Looks amazing. Looks amazing. I am so tempted to pick this up. And it's affordable. This is like 35 to 40 bucks, depending on where you buy it. So pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. I'm very tempted to get this one because, at the end of the day, when I turn off all the lights in this room, he'll be glowing brightly and it'll look pretty awesome. It'll be the guiding light. But very, very, it still does all the gimmicks, does all the little stuff that the 40th selection or even the Western release, which now is kind of the lesser version in a lot of ways, does. But Matrix of Leadership, Lion Tornado, Lion Claws, the whole thing, and the glow in the dark gimmick. Very, very cool. I'm very curious to see what else this New Legends line has planned. Are they going to just take, I imagine they're going to continue the tradition that we've had up to this point, which is they'll take what Hasbro has done and apply the more open range deco hits that they could do with their version, like we saw with Henkei, like we saw with the Legends line, the Sakamoto Legends line, if you want to call it that, and many others afterwards. Even a little bit if you want to count the premium finish stuff, which had even more paint, which was pretty wild. So very cool, very, very cool. I dig this one a lot. Again, Beast Wars Second's a sleeper hit for a lot of people. So definitely go check that out. And again, very comparable price, especially for a Canadian who pays overpriced craziness for Voyager classes. Pick this up for 40 USD, which comes to about almost 50 Canadian with exchange and stuff. Can't argue with that, man. Can't argue with that. I'll find that at a show and I will be more than happy to buy it. Or if I go to Japan, who knows? Who knows? And then we got this guy. MPG 20. Style Generation. Hot Rod. Hotorodimas. And let's just take that Studio Series one and make it even better. And it looks incredible. It looks absolutely incredible. Now, the live stream from Takara Tomy T-Spark did not have this one in hand, which was unfortunate because they didn't have a very good way to show us the scale, if you will. So that was something I was like, oh, that's a shame. It would have been cool to kind of see that. But what we did take away from it was they had their video. They had a little video showing off MPG Rodimus, which pretty much shows all these images here. And a little piece of lore was given to us, which was never mentioned before. So Hot Rod always had those two guns. They debuted with his original 1986 figure. They had two different sculpts to them. They only made a brief appearance somewhat in the season 3 cartoon in the few times that he would be, specifically when he fought Scourge and a few other characters, when he was Hot Rod, when he didn't have the Matrix. But those guns were usually not associated with him too much. He always used his Tri-Blasters. That was in the 86 movie and a lot of stuff. But those guns were always associated with the character from a toy standpoint. It was always included in some shape or form. When the MP9 Masterpiece came out, it created an extra piece of lore where, if those two guns combined to make Rodimus's famous Photon Eliminator. And the Photon Eliminator was always his big gun that he had and was even named in his old tech spec back in the day, and it was always associated with Hot Rod. And then years later, they named these two guns as the photon lasers. Well, today, in this long winded rant of new lore that we could add to this, according to the commercial, the guns are called Photon Laser Alpha and Photon Laser Beta. So now his guns have names. And Proto Man, who's a lunatic who cares about these things, could finally lay to rest. So, very cool. Very, very cool, this. I dig it. And yeah, man, it fixes a lot of the problems that the Studio Series one had in terms of just the limitations of budget and plastic, which is just, the name of the game, unfortunately. So that's really cool. I mean, the only negative I can think of is just it has less accessories than the two previous Studio Series. It doesn't have like the first version that had the Matrix and the blast effects, and the newer version that now has the fishing pole and the you know the two training items, whether it be the sword and shield. So, but it's still awesome. I love it. The weapon rack, whatever. I can live with or without that. It almost reminds me a little bit of animated, how it just kind of attaches on the top there and stuff. But at the end of the day, sure, why not? But I'm very excited about this one, and it's the same thing I said last time. I just have this vibe that if Style Gen, this is what their thing is, where we're going to be doing masterpieces that are slightly smaller and more free range in terms of, celebrating its history, maybe a Style Gen G1 Megatron that scales well with your collection might not be too out of the question. Because if you're satisfied with the Studio Series 86 at leader class, and leader classes are, they're in that 6 to 8-inch tall figure, I could totally see a Style Gen Megatron falling into that category and transforming into what you want. So we will see. We will see with that. I'm curious what they'll do with the Style Gen Optimus in terms of sculpting, tooling, and repainting. And then that'll kind of give us an idea of what they might want to do with Roddy and everyone else afterwards also. There's a lot to take away from that. But very cool. Very, very cool. We do not have a price on this one yet. This one is still early. I think that's also why in the T-Spark event they didn't have one in hand. So we will see what pops off with this one, but very excited about it. The Optimus one, I believe, was like in that 100 and 220 range. So I can imagine Roddy either that or cheaper. Maybe 100, maybe 120, maybe 90. Who knows? Depends who you buy it from. But very excited. Very, very cool. Definitely, again, no surprise. It is the 40th anniversary of the 86 movie, and we're going to be seeing a lot more Hot Rod and Rodimus Prime related items as this year progresses, and maybe even something from Proto Man. Who knows? Ooh, who knows? We will see. We will see. Then we got this one here too. This one is a video that we have for you guys. This is good old Wheelie. So the company of Killer Body, who has done two other movie-related, high-articulated, non-transforming movie items recently, finally did one that, in my opinion, kind of fits the bill in a lot of ways. In that Wheelie really has not had a lot of good figures, and he's been a character that definitely did a lot more on screen than some others that had tons of figures. Wheelie is literally in his entire history, and I'm talking every piece of merchandise that exists. He has 3 figures. He has his original deluxe that's painfully out of scale. We have his legend scale one, which is pretty good, but nothing too major. And then we have that little tiny little slug that comes with the Studio Series Shockwave from Dark of the Moon, and that's it. That's all. But yet Wheelie has had way more screen time than Sideswipe or, so many movie characters that have had either no lines or 1 line or 2, yet they've had like 12 figures. So it's nice to see Wheelie just get something that's looks amazing. And this thing, by the way, it has LED lights for the eyes. It has sound effects. It has super hyper articulation. It has die-cast parts, It has a faction swapping gimmick. If you see on the back there, he has those two panels that could swipe between Autobots and Decepticons. And yeah, man, looking great. Looking great. So this is a little bit under 6 inches tall. More of a display piece than it is something that could fit into your collection scale-wise. But considering how Wheelie has gotten the short end of the stick throughout the years, and the way I look at this almost at 6 inches, it's almost for fun. It could almost be like your 1-to-1 scale Wheelie. I would call this a 1-to-2 scale. You know, like if this was double the height, double the size, it would be like 1-to-1 scale. But I think it's cool. And I liked Wheelie in the movie. He was like the Joe Pesci character of Revenge of the Fallen, one of the more brighter moments of that movie, in my opinion. So I dig it. I dig it. Very cool. And the best part about this, how much this guy costs. So depending on who you buy it from, this thing could be between $68 and $80. So that's actually not too bad. You know, that's actually not too bad at all. So pre-orders for this are actually starting Monday and will be shipping out at the end of the month. So if you are interested in this, check it out. Just Google like Killer Body Wheelie, and he's the third release. Looking really cool. Really like what's going on here, man. Really like it a lot. Again, a character that's just been shortchanged throughout the years in terms of products. So very cool. And then the last thing we got, let's talk about a soccer ball. Oh boy. Again, when I do segments, YouTube always clues me in on how well they perform in the first 24 hours. And it is the first time in all the years of doing the podcast, probably going all the way back to like 2017, so almost 10 years, that we had a segment that after 24 hours barely got 1,000 views. So, man, I don't know what it is, but I guess America don't like a soccer. Really don't like a soccer. But here we go. We got a soccer ball USA Optimus. The first of our collaborations going into 2026. Codename Kick, as he was called on the codename list. Let me just pull that up for a second. So that was the codename list that we talked about last week. We had Kick, Race, Green, Song, which is the San Diego exclusive, Symmetry, and of course, the Monster Jam 1, which we assume is going to be Monster Jam, but we could be wrong on that. We're just going to put that up there. So Kick is obviously this one here. Friend of the podcast, fellow collaborator in the Mega Man world, Don Figueroa. He took one look at this. He saw the base, and he said to himself, man, this is going to be Primus. This is going to be Primus. This is the tooling for a future Primus figure at some point. And keep in mind, Don Figueroa created the original design concept and everything for Primus turning into Cybertron. So if there's one guy that knows Primus and a transforming circular ball, it's Donnie Figueroa. So, yeah, it is what it is. It's interesting. I'll give it that. I mean, it's not our first soccer transformer. We had Kick Me from BotBots, but it's something. It is interesting. I'm really curious to hear the story behind this, the decisions behind it, the partnerships, and all the other stuff related to it. How did this come to be and everything? It's very interesting. But again, I'm seeing Primus. I'm with Don Figueroa on this. I really see a pre-tooling, if you will, a product that's given to us in the lesser way, and then the better version of that product released to us later on. It has been happening multiple times in Transformers' history, going way, way back, where they go, oh, that looks like Scourge. You know what? That is totally Scourge. But we're going to release it in red first. And because it'll be a whole new mold, people will buy it because, oh my God, this is great. And what's great is the customizers will buy it and paint it the correct colors. So we'll make a sale there and and then you release the better version later. And then you make much more sales. Where, let's be real, if this was released as Primus first and then the soccer ball afterwards, maybe not. Do you know how many customizers are going to buy this and turn this into Primus? and then an official one will happen later. I can name 3 different customizers that I see on Twitter all the time that'll probably do this, or at least digitally do this. Who knows? But yeah, it is what it is. We know nothing about this. This literally showed up on 3 different listings on eBay. All stolen from Vietnam, all over now. I wouldn't be surprised if we get some information from JT and some of the crew later on about what's going on with this dude. But yeah, a very interesting decision and choice. Not one that was on the bingo card, so to speak, but it is what it is, as we always say. And let me know what you think. Again, another thing too, like scale wise, we don't know. Some people are predicting, well, if it's a 1-to-1 soccer ball, he's going to be really huge. So it probably isn't. They're predicting something that's a much more smaller, like something almost like they compared it to a softball, which is like a larger baseball. They figured something like that, which then would make this maybe a Voyager scale, maybe a small leader. So we will see. We will see. And again, now we know kick. So what could race be? What could green be? What could song be? We don't know. We don't know, but there's a lot going on here, and we'll keep you posted as we learn it here on the Transformer Slag podcast. The first guy says here, how many collabs have really gotten released in as official Transformer characters? Yeah, that is something I do agree with you, though. The first guy, we have been getting a lot of tooling that we predict is going to be used for something, and then it kind of just never gets used at all. But I don't know. Sometimes you got to call a spade, and when you see something that looks so obviously like something, you got to have a little bit of hope, just a little bit. But it has, yeah, I do agree with you. Sometimes it doesn't. What is it? What do we have here? I'm here in Mexico from the land down under. You already talked about the upscale Studio Series Hot Rod. Yes, we did. Yes, we did, sir. Yes, we did, and it was glorious. But that's it more or less for the news. Again, look, it's been an interesting week, so to speak. What do you have here, Horned Owl? I think song will be collaboration with some band or music. Yeah, probably. I hope it's something good though. I hope it's like wouldn't it be like would be a very 80s, apropos. The cats are causing trouble now. Maybe they'll come join us. So what would be a really good 80s band that would like something like Kiss that's very visual, that would make a good transition to something that'd be a cartoony robot thing, like Bon Jovi's cool, but what's visually Bon Jovi? Like there's certain ones that only could really make that, and even Kiss is late 70s when you really think about it. But I don't know. I don't know. Stan Bush, that would be. Look, I love Stan Bush. Don't get me wrong, I love Stan Bush, but I don't think that would sell well. I really don't. Iron Maiden, yeah, I could see that. That's another one too that has its own visual, especially from the album covers. It has to be something that would be like, that really sells in a visual. Because Metallica, not so much. Not so much Metallica. Good music, but I don't know about that one. K-pop Demon Hunter, I could see that. We're starving for merchandise of that. That's for sure. I mean, that would really be an interesting cut, but we'll see. Journey doesn't, good music, but not much of a visual outside of like one album cover, really. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. But yeah, that's it more or less. That's it more or less. The Gem Rockin' Roadster. Oh my goodness. That would be great. That would be great. Certain someone upstairs would love that if that was the case. And our camera is messed up today. We really screwed up the camera today. We didn't plan anything. We literally, guys, no joke, we literally like got back here maybe like 10 minutes before the podcast went live and stuff. So, but let's talk sponsorship, and then we'll talk about just one item that we got. Well, technically 2. Let me just pull it up here too while we're at it. We got 2 items here today that we got. One of them's not even from me. It was her that she bought, but I figured you guys might get a kick out of it. But what are we talking sponsors though? We're talking Symbiote Studios, Plush pins and t-shirts. Again, TFCon LA is coming very soon, and Symbiote Studios will be present with the full stock of Symbiote Studios plush products to pick up in person. The only official Transformers plush products. None of that bootleg stuff you be getting at Transformer conventions. This is the real deal, and affordably priced too, because some of those unofficial ones, man, some people are paying $80 for those things. That's crazy for like a tiny one. But yeah, they're all here and coming soon again to TFCon LA. You'll be able to pick up the full collection. Swoop will be making his debut at TFCon and then will be available on Symbiote's website afterwards. But if you want to be the first to pick up Swoop, go to TFCon LA. There's also the My Little Pony collections, which are looking good. There's the Magic the Gathering pin stuff, which I'm loving. Those look amazing. So check them out again, symbiotestudios.com. Pick up your shirts. You see the Hasbro crew wearing them too during the live streams. Check them out, symbiotestudios.com. We also got the Toy Armada with Aaron Archer. Go check out Aaron's segment. There was no new additions this week of new Posca paintings, but there is some delicious ones that were debuted last week that are still on the website. Go check it out, archermonster.com/shop. Get yourself a one-of-one piece of Transformers history from the man who designed them, and hang them up on your shelf and look happy like Shia over there with Bumblebee. Good stuff, as always. And might as well promote myself too. So again, just last week on Wednesday was the debut of Mega Man issue number 0 of Mega Man X. So thank you for everyone who picked that up. It was very well received by fans. I was very happy to hear that, because I'll be in all honesty with you, that was the weakest issue of what I've written thus far. All the stuff that comes afterwards is way better, but people really like this one, so happy to hear that. And also, again, that same weekend, also the Mega Man Transformer cover debuted also that same Wednesday. For people who are looking to pick that one up, that is available now for the stores that did manage to get copies of that one. And might as well announce it, the next collection of books, issue number 1 of Mega Man X, because it was 0 that was just last week, or last Wednesday. Issue number 1 is up for pre-order right now. Will be debuting February 18th, 2026. And that'll be the story of Storm Eagle that I wrote. And I really like that one. That was a really good one. So stay tuned for that. Those are all the covers that are available. The third cover there on the top is actually drawn by Don Figueroa. And Don's not the last one. Let's just say we assembled a crack team of legendary Transformer artists throughout the years to help work on this Mega Man project. What's really cool too is Chamba. If you look, that's a sideways comic there. Chamba did a cover as an homage to the original Minton box, Mega Man X Super Nintendo box from back in the day. So he did a cover that homages that with his own style. Chamba worked on the Street Fighter brand for many years. We got a lot of really talented people here, a lot of cool covers. But again, this is the Storm Eagle story, and it's really, really cool. And also the followed up too, coming in May, this guy here will be the headliner of Free Comic Book Day, and we'll have the Proto Man special, the Mega Man Showdown special, Proto Man versus Base, with a special backup story of Mega Man Battle Network. And that's going to be with Mick Fong. Mick Fong worked at Dreamwave back in the day. He worked on Mega Man Legends. So that's another fun little project that we are working on that hopefully you guys will be able to enjoy for free at your local comic book store. If you are curious if your local comic book store is participating in Free Comic Book Day, or if you just want to know if you have a comic book store near you at all, go to freecomicbookday.com. They have a store locator on there. You just put in your postal code, your zip code, your whatever, and they will let you know who is nearby, who is participating, and if you could swing by and pick it up. And that'll be the first Saturday of May, May 2nd, Free Comic Book Day. Go check that one out. And that's it, more or less. We got the sponsors done. We got the news done. Let's talk about what we got, which isn't much, really. I got in the mail. This was the, I don't know if some people heard about this. This was the Mega Man guide that they did with hand-drawn, like back in the back in the Nintendo Power Day style. So they did this really cool book from Nintendo Force. Really dig it, the game guides. And it's all hand-drawn art of original Mega Man 1. Very cool little book. helped with the Kickstarter on this and stuff. So it finally came in the mail. So very happy about that. You could find my name in the back of it. Came with a whole bunch of extra stuff, posters, you know, keychains, bookmarks, stickers, all kinds of stuff. I believe the crew at Nintendo Force are going to be doing a basic retail version of that. So if you are interested, that will be out there at some point. I just don't know when, to be honest with you. And the other thing is, this is something that she picked up. We were at Winners, which once in a while has like dead clearance stuff, and they've been liquidating all of their Christmas stuff. Like they're still trying to get rid of all their Christmas stuff. It's like 40% off, 50% off, 60% off. Like they're just like, we just need to get rid of this stuff. And she picked up the Polly Pocket Peanuts thing. So this originally was supposed to be, so originally it was $80 from the Peanuts website and Mattel website. Then Winners dropped it down to $60, and then they clearanced it for red tag. They clearanced it for 25 bucks Canadian. So about $19 American for this. So this is very cool. She was very happy to get this because this is a very pricey item otherwise, and it's a Polly Pocket playset that has all the characters from Peanuts, and it's the Christmas stuff, and very, very cute. Very, very cute thing. So she digs that. Apparently there's a Back to the Future one also similar to this, and now she wants to track that one down because after she got this, she started doing research on the others, and she's like, oh, very cool. So that's what she picked up. Figured we'd show that too while we're at it. And that's it. No Transformer stuff this week. Oddly enough, just two little items. Just two little items this time. Let's see. The first guy. How long does it take for a comic to get ready for print? Well, I mean, there's a few factors that come into it. Number one, like I could tell you the whole process from start to finish. What happens is first you have to do a pitch, right? If your comic is related to a license, let's say Transformers is a license, Mega Man is a license. So if your comic is related to a license, you first have to do a pitch because whatever your story is, the licensor owner, in this case like Hasbro for Transformers, Capcom for Mega Man, they want to read that script first before they approve it because what if it's not on brand? What if Mega Man starts killing everybody and then takes a crap on the ground, like they want to make sure everything is kosher. So you do a pitch first. Once the pitch is approved, then you write the script. And that could take between 2 days to a week to a month. It really depends what your process is of how you're doing that story. Again, when you're someone like me that's writing an ongoing series, you have to make sure that you pace everything. You can't just tell everything in one story, but you don't want to tell too little in one either because you have only a certain amount of issues because everything's done in batches of six issues to tell stories. So you have to pace yourself. You have to kind of plan all of that. Once the writing process is done, that's hand over to the artist. How long does the artist take to write it? Guys like Alex Milne could bang it all out in a couple of days because Alex is crazy. Other guys, it could take maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Some guys, it could take a month. It really depends. Then it gets handed off to the colorist. Now, the colorist could be also the artist, or it could be a completely separate individual. Josh Perez is a separate individual who's also a colorist. So like an Alex Milne would draw and usually like pencil and ink, and then the colorist, like a Josh Perez, would then color it in and do the layers. So that happens. Then you got guys like Marshall Dillon and Denton, some of the other dudes, like Denton from IDW, Marshall Dillon from Udon. They're the letterers. They put in the letters, the boom, the bangs, the whiffs, all of that stuff, and the dialogue. That whole process, before it even goes to the printer, before it even gets to the printer, when we go, okay, we're done. This is perfect. We turn this into a PDF file or whatever and send it off to the printer. That whole process could take sometimes between a month to a month and a half. That's you if it's comparable people. When you have companies that have delays, something in that chain of what I just told you could be what messed up. Maybe like, the script was done right away, but the artist got sick and he delayed, or the guy who helps the artist with the inking, or maybe the colorist was slow, or there's something in that process that slows it down. The Image guys back in the day, a good example, like Image Comics back in 93 and 94, there was always something in that chain that would mess things up, and a lot of their early books would have a lot of delays and stuff, with the exception of probably Savage Dragon. That was the only one that seemed to hit their dates, but everything else, Wildcats, and, Cyberforce, and Spawn, and I could go on and on. A lot of even the Tick, which isn't related to Image Comics, but that's New England Press. Delays, delays, delays. A lot of those. So, and because those were independent comics, they were a little more transparent with why they got delays as opposed to a Marvel or DC, because they're a big company and they kind of want to hide any flaws. But very, 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 very fun thing doing comics. But you have to have the right people with you. That's something that I constantly encourage with a lot of people, because a lot of people have. I'm just going to move this because it's a big old box. I find a lot of people who want to get into the comic industry. I always tell them, surround yourself with other like-minded creative people. If you are a writer, surround yourself with artists. If you are an artist, surround yourself with writers, and you can get a lot of work done. You can get a lot of work done. What's up, Rylan? How you doing? Where are we at here? Lizard Sphere. Man, those Pokemon Lego sets are insulting. Oh, buddy. Lizard Sphere. So she's the Lego person, and she likes Pokemon. And we were flabbergasted by the prices, because keep in mind, she loves Lego, but she also likes any kind of building blocks. If it's a nice looking Mega Block set, she'll buy it. She has some of the Mega Blocks Pokemon stuff, like the Magikarp and the Gyarados, and she knows what she paid for those. What's crazy, anyone who's watching this, look up Mega Bloks Pikachu, look up Lego's official Pikachu. One was $40, one is like $200, and they're the same amount of parts, and the Mega Bloks one looks better. I don't want to go on a huge rant, but Lego as a company, I find are some of the cheapest individuals that have maximized their profits on levels that are insurmountable. Insurmountable. They never make new sculpts. They use the same tools over and over of the same bricks. It's all injection molded. The customer assembles it, not a factory worker. They throw it all into a brown corrugated box that is not that fancy. It's nice from the outside. Look, like, to give you an example, like, let's pull out a Transformer box here. Like, this has everything going on here, nice packaging, and then you have an inner lay that's also nice and colored and stuff and everything. I mean, Lego's getting rid of instructions. Ooh, there goes that little block there. But Lego is getting rid of instructions and stuff and making those even online, which is scary, because if ever, like, those servers ever get closed down, mind you, the community will probably gather together and keep those instructions online. But, it's something where they cut corners everywhere. They're easily manufactured. There is no assembly process in the factories. And yet the prices are insane, insane, insane. As someone who has almost every Creo Transformer product, and I was like, man, like, I'm buying like the largest Creo sets, the Devastator, the Optimuses, and these things were like $40, $50 if you like overpaid from somewhere. Now, granted, Creo is not Lego. I get it. You're gonna the Lego purist will talk about the quality of the plastic and stuff like that. She says it too. She says, like, Mega Bloks, the bricks are not always the best quality. I agree with that. But that being said, it's crazy how expensive it is. It's absolutely crazy. Like $600 for that set there, 600 USD. So that means after taxes and everything, you're talking in some cases might be $700. And then here in Canada, that's going to be $1,000 item easily, probably. It's probably going to be like $900 plus Canadian taxes, so $1,000. What the hell? But that's Lego going, we know. We see what's going on with the Lego Pokemon cards. We see the scalping that's going on. We know. Look, we could ask $200 for this $600 set, but we could ask $600. And Lego is like any other company. They got stockholders, they want to make money, and that's what it is at the end of the day. Is it right what they're doing? Hell no. Hell no. Hell no. They're just targeting two very specific groups, and neither of those are children. They're targeting adults who have nostalgia and disposable income, and they're making sure to only release stuff that's the 151, meaning the original first gen. So it targets them specifically, the badges, the Poke Center, all this stuff that's only those 90s kids that grew up on it into the early 2000s. And then they're doing prices that again only target adults. And then the other group that they're targeting, of course, is the scalpers, the ones that are going to go in there. They're going to buy like 5 of these $600 ones, and then they're going to sit on it. But I hope, and this is just my hope, and again, she's kind of put it in my ear, in that sometimes Lego sets sit around for a very long time. The best example being Transformers. The Optimus Prime Lego set is still available on the Lego store. They keep them around for a bit. So I'm hoping that at least the scalpers will get screwed over, because they'll invest insane amounts of money on this, and then they'll end up getting stuck with, a $3,000 credit card bill, and then they'll learn not to do that. But that being said, even if the scalpers do this, they're still going to make the purchases. Lego's still going to get the money. And from their perspective, they still made the money, and they'll still keep asking those prices. I don't think it's fair to people. I don't think anything Pokemon should be worth $600. A mint in box original run, Game Boy Red version isn't $600. There's nothing in Pokemon that's $600 outside of some cards. That's it. Oh, Charizards and, Shadowless and first edition, that everything. Yeah, that'll be in those, maybe in the 4-digit range because of how crazy that market is. But that stuff shouldn't be. That's silly. That's silly for a brand new product that has no historical value, that's going to be produced in the billion. Like, they're going to make millions of these. This is going to be in like every single Costco, every single Lego store, every single Walmart, every single Target. They're going to have tons of these, and $600. And do you know a single kid on the planet that's going to be granted that as a present? And we know how Lego is. It's going to be played with, and then all the pieces are going to be scattered to the wind in some house. No parent's going to want to pay that kind of money. It is solely an adult product. And in a world today, look, how many of us have ever spent $600 on a single Transformer? Very few of us. Unicron was 600 and something dollars. And Unicron is way more impressive, has 100% new tooling, was actually assembled by a human being in a factory, had a whole process involved, is a marvel of engineering. That's $600. This thing that's made out of a bunch of bricks that have pre-existed for over 30 years from a company that really, again, I'm not a fan of Lego personally. I didn't grow up with Lego. I wasn't a big building block kid. I appreciate some of the stuff here and there. I like Bionicle, but that's really a more of an action figure and a model kit than it is Lego. I mean, that's why Bionicle kind of got discontinued. Why? Because, oh my God, Lego had to make new tooling, But it is what it is. It is what it is. It's something that that's a shame. I mean, they recently showed that Lego Ocarina of Time set. That speaks to me. I love Ocarina of Time. I love that final battle against Ganondorf when he turns into Ganon and there's Zelda and everything. That's amazing. But that set is overpriced like crazy. But they're playing at the nostalgia of people. And I'm not going to play that game. There's no point going broke over a company that doesn't care if you go broke. They don't. There's no hesitation at all to go like, do you think we're asking too much? And it's like, no, we're not asking enough. What's up, Aaron? You're alive, Aaron. You're alive. How you doing? But it is what it is. It is what it is. It's again $600 for a out of the gate Lego set that isn't doing anything that's reinventing the wheel is freaking wild, think about like the Lego Death Star and some of those other big crazy sets. The what was the that one there? The air carrier from the Avengers and stuff. You know, some of those crazy sets, and then you have this one here. That's a little much. That's a little much in my opinion. It really is. It really is. Well, they say it's an 18 plus set, but yeah, come on, man. Like there's not a single thing that exists in a Lego set that says 18 plus in terms of like, oh, sharp pieces or something. It's just, oh, there's more pieces and it's going to take time to assemble it. Okay, 18 plus. I was building master grade model kits of Gundam when I was like 15 years old. And I guarantee those are way more complicated than any Lego set. Lego sets involve one thing, and that's time. That's all they take. They don't take anything. There's no paint involved. There's no, maybe like stickers if you have shaky hands. It's about it. It's wild. And look, I get it. Some people are saying, well, they pay the license. They pay the license with Harry Potter. They pay the license with Star Wars. They pay the license with Mario. They pay the license with Batman. They pay the license with Marvel. They pay the license with all of the others too. There's no difference there. There's no difference. And again, the Pokemon company was making building block stuff with Mega Blocks for years. And that means Mega Blocks was also paying a license. It's not like they went, oh, we like you, Mattel. We're going to give you a special with your Mega Blocks. No, they were paying too, you know? So it's silly. It's overpriced. And if you're a fan of Pokemon and you have $600, I implore you, as a person who's all about finance in our collecting hobbies, I implore you, take that $600 and put it somewhere else in Pokemon that would be a better long-term feel. I promise you, there is very few people that bought some of those high-end Lego sets that are Mario fans. I know a friend who bought the Bowser. They build it, they put it on their shelves, and then they kind of go, ugh, I paid so much for it. And then they try to resell it, but because now it's open Lego sets, the moment they're open, their prices, they take a freaking swan dive. So right away, they're not able to get their money back unless the set is retired and has some kind of intrinsic value, but the Bowser hasn't been retired yet, so he's going to have to wait a while. Put that money elsewhere. $600 in the Pokemon world, that gets you insane amount of stuff. Insane amount of stuff. Insane amount of stuff. But yeah, just wanted to go off on that. What do we got here from Sarah? If I say something about the greedy Hasbro and Voyager Optimus for $100, the greedy Lego Pokemon toys, man, Mega was $20 for that Charizard figure. Yeah, man. Mega Blocks, we have quite a few of those. Like she has that crazy like Gyarados one where you turn a crank and it moves and everything. That thing was like $50 Canadian. That was like 50 Canadian, so that was like 30 American. How cheap that was. Insane. And it's crazy because Mega Bloks only lost the license to Pokemon at the end of just last year. Like literally up until 2025, the end of it, and you could still go to Walmart right now and, your toy stores and find Mega Bloks Lego. They're still there. So get them while you can, because they're probably going to get liquidated out of there sooner or later, and you're going to appreciate those cheap building sets while you still can. And you know what's even more sad? I'm telling you, all of those blocks, they're going to get mapped of these big crazy sets. And I know AliExpress or one of these bootleg brick companies, they're going to figure out every block that comes in that set and they're going to make bootlegs. And I'm telling you, those bootlegs, they're going to make you take a step back and realize just how much it really costs to make Lego and to do it. And it's going to blow your mind. And it's not going to be $600. Clark Clint Gaming, like Proto Man, my best friend and I are looking to go to our first Transformers convention this year. We live on the West Coast in the USA. Which convention would be best to go to this year? Well, I mean, if you're looking for strictly just Transformers, then obviously TFCon LA, which is going to be in March, is the best one to go to. But I'm telling you guys, you can't ignore San Diego. If you have the time and the money to do San Diego Comic-Con, I can't stress enough, just how important it is just to get it once out of your system and do that show. Because if you're someone like me, that's especially the business side of it, it's worth it. Because TFCon is the social side. You go to TFCon for the dealer room to get some cool stuff, and you go there to hang out with people. That's really it. Panels, your mileage may vary because some panels are boring, some panels are fine. You know, guests are great too. There'll be a lot of guests there. But San Diego also has the guests. Sometimes even stuff that's outside of the Transformer hobby. You might want to, like, San Diego had probably, gosh, just the one that passed in 2025 probably had like 15 different Transformer guests just there. And that's just Transformers, let alone everyone else was there from Power Rangers and X-Men and every other brand. And, oh, hey, there's Robert Downey Jr. walking over there with his, entourage. Oh, there's that wrestler from the WWE, So it really has to do with what's your finance, what's your goals, what you want to do. But if you're talking just Transformers, I would say TFCon LA. And if there was one Transformer convention to do throughout the year, it would be specifically the LA TFCon because that's the biggest one out of the year. I'm not saying Chicago TFCon isn't bad or any of the East Coast ones. And well, I am going to say that the Toronto ones are what they are. It's Toronto, but I would say LA. LA is the one not to be missed for sure. There's just so much going on there. Because it's West Coast, you get more Japanese dealers and Japanese sellers. So even some of the more obscure products that you want to get cheaper are going to be available there. That would be my suggestion, my friend. Where are we at? Cringe McCrinkle says, TFCon LA is easily the best. Yes, Cringe has been to quite a few. Tom Laney, I'm definitely looking to get more. I may pick up another before I must have missed part of the conversation. I'm sorry, Tom. Clark Clint, we're trying to blow money on figures. Well, again, then I would suggest TFCon LA. Primarily because if you're trying just to buy toys, yeah, San Diego's going to have the exclusives, but they won't have much else in terms of affordable figurines. I find that I'll call them the independent dealers. San Diego will have the companies, and the companies will be selling stuff, but they'll be selling stuff at MSRP. And then you have the independent dealers, the mom and pop shops, the guys who paid for tables at the show, and they'll be there and they'll be selling loose, incomplete, and complete Transformers, but they paid thousands of dollars to be there at San Diego. So those prices are not going to be competitive. Where TFCon, there's going to be so many tables of guys with just loose figures and Ziploc bags at less than MSRP that I promise you, I'm a betting man, you'll find this guy in March, $20, $25. You'll probably find a guy who's asking 15, loose complete. It is what it is. But you're better off with TFCon LA. And in my opinion, out of all the shows to get the best deals for action figures, that's where Toronto is the best show because that has the charity auction, and those are the best deals, in my opinion. My God, paying Canadian dollars, like $10 for deluxes, Canadian. So you're talking like you're buying your deluxes 100% complete for $7. Make a deal, $5. You can't argue with that. The amount of stuff that you could get from TFCon Toronto especially is really good. But LA is great also. So I would do LA. And you have, LA is, when is it in March? I've already forgotten. But it's sometime in March. I think it's the second week of March. So you have like a good amount of time also to save up, plan, everything like that. Hotel, stack it to the sky and enjoy it. Yeah, T Former says it here. 2 months till LA. Fantastic. Yeah, anniversary guests. A lot of Beast Wars love. A lot of Beast Wars. You can get every Beast Wars voice actor that's still breathing today at that show. So good stuff. Cringe McCringle won't be at LA, but I'll be at Toronto and Orlando as a dealer. Old and new stuff. Looking forward to it, Cringe. Looking forward. Tom Laney, what I've noticed is we're starting to get a lot of... Sorry, Tom, it's going to move the mouse here. Why the mouse was in front. We're getting a lot of re-releases that keep coming from Hasbro. The way they're saving money and throwing out real. Well, I mean, Tom, Nate mentioned this. I want to say he talked about it. This was about 3 months ago, maybe. I know that Nate said that Hasbro was going to be dialing it back on waves. They used to be 4 waves a year. Now they're going to do 3. And the waves are going to be in retail longer. And he said when opportunities present themselves, some of those waves will be 1 or 2 will be filled with a re release. And in all honesty, I'm fine with that because there's a lot of times where there's certain figures that come out, they become the hot figure. Hasbro doesn't predict it. They don't read, they don't read the internet all the time. They don't know what is the hot item sometimes, and they don't have a crystal ball. But sometimes an item comes around, and yeah, it becomes tough to get. A DevCon is a great example. Here's a retail item, and then all of a sudden it becomes a hot ticket item, and then it sells out, and then that's it. It's difficult to get, or a beachcomber. So creating opportunities to take tooling that they already have. They don't have to do anything else. Some of those factory workers have already been trained in the assembly of these characters. So from the top bottom, the only thing they might have to worry about is new packaging. That's it. Instructions are the same. They could even have, if they want to be lazy, just throw in the old instructions. They don't even hire a designer to, write, oh, I'm going to make new instructions. Well, no, just throw in that old Legacy United instructions. Throw it in there, Legacy Evolution, throw it in there and call it a day. I have Lucky Draw Transformers that the instructions that are included with it is literally the instructions of the mold that figure that Lucky Draw was from. So I have Lucky Draw Primus. It has commemorative edition Generation 1 Rodimus's instructions in the box. No joke. No joke. Like because it's like, why are you going to waste the time on a Lucky Draw? So Sarah, what's your opinion about Playmates losing the TMNT license concern because those guys have had control of that? Well, I'm sure that there's a lot of reasons why Viacom/Nickelodeon decided not to go with Playmates anymore and vice versa. I think it was a mutual agreement. The last 2 shows and not shows, the last show and the movie Rise of TMNT and the movie didn't do well in terms of toy sales. And then I'm pretty sure Viacom and Nickelodeon also saw all the other people that are paying licenses for TMNT, whether it be NECA or Super 7 or Mondo. And clearly those guys are doing fine. So you go with the licensors that are making your product successful and keep moving forward. You don't go with the guys that aren't. Look, now we have, suppose there was leaks recently of a TMNT GI Joe collaboration. So now Hasbro's getting into the mix. So it's something where, yeah, look, they had a great relationship for years, but they had a rocky 2 past years in the face of other companies doing stuff that's doing better. So there's no friends in business, unfortunately. There's only money. Tom Laney, yeah, good with that as well. Just like getting the Scourge. Yeah, because some people maybe didn't get the Scourge. Although that one is less so only because it was a Wave 1 item. It was a Wave 1 item, and he shared a case assortment with Rodimus, with Hot Rod. And Hot Rod was the big ticket item that everyone was trying to get. There was 2 per case of this, 2 per case of Roddy, and a case of 4. And everyone was getting the Hot Rods, and the leftovers were the Scourges, and there's plenty of them. And that's why I said his market is only starting to creep up now. But even then, I could still find them loose complete in different markets for still under MSRP. So that's one where a reissue isn't as important. DevCon is back on shelves in Target. Exactly, James. That's what I'm saying, because of the reissue, where DevCon was going for like $100 at one point, along with Beachcomber. That's what I'm saying. And he went on clearance. And he went on clearance too, DevCon. So imagine those guys who got the FOMO and went on eBay and paid $100 for DevCon. And then here he is hidden clearance for $9 on Target. Always wait. Always wait. Patience pays off. Always pays off. Tom, the problem with doing a fan vote for the re-releases is you never truly get the proper numbers. You know what I mean? And the thing is, by the time they know when, like, okay, like let's say today they know what that next figure should be, it's going to take minimum of a year before it ends up in stores because you got to make that decision, you got to line everything up, you got to find, and this is the conversation that no one has. You got to find the opening in the schedule in the factory, your partner factory, in order to do it. These plastic companies that Hasbro commissions to do and have these partnerships with, these plastic companies are making other stuff also for other companies. They have to schedule it. It's not like they could just go, okay, we're going to do this right now, and they just march it to the factory, give them the molds, and start doing business. It's a whole process. So what if, like, Guangdong in Vietnam goes, hey man, like we only have an opening in May of 2026, then we could get started. And then it takes them about 3 weeks to 4 weeks of really grinding at the gears to get those beachcombers put together. And then that has to be shipped to Quebec on boat. And then it gets packaged in Longueuil, Quebec. And that's again by boat. Oof. By boat, you're talking minimum a week to 2 weeks of travel, assuming that boat don't sink, which has happened. It has happened. Um, and it's just something where it'll take, usually I would have to say, about a year, minimum a year to a year and a half before it ends up in your target. And by then, some of you guys have moved on and that voting doesn't mean anything anymore. So, and because we've had reissues that kind of almost seem kind of confusing because when those decisions were made were a year and a half ago, if not more. Who knows? Maybe whoever made the decision to do the reissue of this, maybe they were looking at eBay at the time and went, "Oh, geez, Scourge is going for $70." Who knows? Maybe there was like an uptick period, and they made that call. Sarah, no, last night reissue. The thing on eBay is $120. Yeah, well, there's certain items that you can't predict. You can't. You don't know what is going to be the hot ticket item and what isn't because we don't know how the distribution is going to be. We don't know how the fandom reacts to it. Look, you could have a Bumblebee movie, and who would have thought that Dropkick, Studio Series Dropkick, would be a shelf warmer across the board? And then, like, certain characters that had less screen time and were less predominant in movies will have figures that are more expensive that are deluxe classes and Voyager classes. You know, you can't predict it. You really can't. You could be like, oh, this is a popular character, he's going to do well, and then they do a reissue, and that kind of screws everything. You know, Big Bot Bodega, I got my room in Orlando and hope to do LA someday. Well, Orlando is going to be our East Coast 2026 show in the second half. Uh, I guess I'll be there, but it's so far away that I don't like to say I'm going to be at a show when it's like 7 to 8 months away. Like, who knows what'll be happening? All I know it's LA coming up, Japan at some point. Um, what's in May? I don't think there's anything in May. Is there anything in May that I'm doing? Probably some shows locally here. That's about it. But then, of course, you have San Diego, TFCon Toronto. Uh, I don't know. I only worry about the next 3 months. I don't worry about like 5, 6, 7, 8 months. Like, I don't know what I'm doing for TFCon Toronto. Chances are I'll be there. I've been there every other year, but I didn't plan anything yet, you know, but I'll worry about that later. It's not a big deal. Um, Tom Laney, cool. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, fan folks suck. Still waiting for a new lug nut. Yeah, exactly. Like those ones, they're not the best. They're not the best indicator for the companies to know where to go financially. So we'll see. We will see. We will see. What are we at here? I want to make sure I get everything. I don't want to miss any questions because we had a lot of stuff to talk about. Ryan says, got Beachcomber today at EB Games. I'm okay with reissues. Yeah, again, They serve their purpose. The best example, I always reach over for this guy, but you know, the drama that this created was palpable. Let me tell you, it was insane what people were paying for this stupid thing, you know, for this stupid figure. And I knew, like it's Hasbro didn't make any promises that like, you know, Cosmos was going to be a one and done. So you're going to see it again in some shape or form. And lo and behold, you did. And then anyone that paid $150 to $200, which they did, would feel stupid. And the people who scalped them and made them pay that, hope they learn, you know. We got a super chat. We got a super chat from the twins. What's the best way to book a hotel plane ticket to LA? Is it through official website, best option? Have you found it cheaper? Personally, just a hot take here. With TFCon's website, the hotel sometimes will be a better rate. Sometimes. But I find if you use third-party travel companies, the Travagos and stuff like that, I find usually you find better deals than the room rates that are offered by TFCon. That's just my own personal experience. Not so much for TFCon itself, but when they would do one-day shows, I saw that was the case a lot of the time. As it pertains to flights, always use a Travago or something. I find the flights are always ridiculously cheaper. In the case of LA, though, keep in mind the the airport is a considerable distance from the convention. So make sure that you line up your Ubers or some kind of group travel beforehand. There is going to be no shuttle buses, to my knowledge. This one is way too far away for a shuttle bus or something. So make sure you got that lined up because that will be an extra expense for LA. I know back in the day, the old BotCons, when they used to do it at the Burbank Convention Center, I mean, you're talking a 45-minute taxi, and this is before Uber was a thing. You're talking a 45-minute taxi ride from the airport each way. So get that money ready. Get that money ready. But the again, cheapest option. Look at third party travel sites, Travagos and stuff like that. They have offers. They always do. Plug in where you're going to be. Plug in the dates. Plug in the flights, and they'll spit out what they could find for you because they want your money. So they'll find something. They'll find something for sure. Hope that kind of helps because I wish I could like give it to you like on a deeper sense, but that's probably the simplest way to explain it. And get it as soon as possible. The later you wait for your flight to get your flight, the more expensive it will be. Unless you're flying on standby, then good luck. Big Bot Bodega, why wouldn't they do at least a recolor of Scourge? I bet people would have bought a green version of the same thing. Well, I mean, they did. They did the repaint retool of the suite. They did the Alpha Trion. I always say Hasbro wants to get 3 out of a tooling, so they got their 3 right there. I think again the decision I think is more just they just wanted to have a marquee 86 character for the 86 movie available, and that is it. I think that's the only reason. I mean, let's be real, like Studio Series debuted when? 2020, 2021. So it's been a bit of a time. And granted, you could factor in the sweep that counts as an extra reissue because they are so similar. But that again, I'm curious to hear the decision making process for it. I'm with you on it because I think there could have been better options. I think reissuing Cup, that Target exclusive one, would have been probably a better option. But that's a Voyager. This one's a deluxe. The Cup, so obviously it affects case assortments and plans with that. Also, keep in mind, and this is the elephant in the room that no one has mentioned up to this point, it's a Target exclusive. When it's a Target exclusive, that means that it's all in. It's Target's problem. So if somehow this is a product that doesn't do well, It's Target's problem. They're buying the inventory. It's their problem, you know? So that's another thing too. It's a reissue that if it's a fart in the wind, as I like to call it, if it didn't do well, it's not Hasbro's problem. They won't have to worry about it. Senator Ratbat, that's another one too. I have the 2-pack of that. You know, so they got plenty. They got their mileage out of that tooling. There's no need to worry about that one from their perspective. So all the time and energy that went into it was more than worth it. But yeah, what do we have here? Cringe McCringle Target exclusive equals at least 2 to 3 cases per exclusive per store. Yeah. Well, that's what Nate was saying. Like, you know, and I've seen this personally myself. I don't live near a Target because I'm in Canada, but when I do cross the border to go to the United States, specifically Plattsburgh, New York, I go to the Target there. And whatever is the flavor of the Target exclusive of Transformers, they always have plenty of them. Man, did they have plenty of like T-Rex at the time, T-Rex and the red sculpted Ryochi, you know, like from Siege, pegs of that stuff. All the Targets, all the buzzworthy Bumblebee stuff, pegs of it, plenty of it. There was no shortage, you know? So it'll be fine. Big convoy in the room, please. Amazon will sell a pig and a cow Optimus and Megatron question mark. Wait, hold on. The big convoy in the room, please. Amazon will sell a pig and cow Optimus and Megatron question. Well, are you talking about the Japanese stuff and the boar and whatever? What's wrong with that? It's unique designs. It's fun. It's different. T-Formers 2002. I bought a bunch of deep clearance sweeps. Oh, beautiful. Those ones, I'm surprised they didn't go up in value because those would be the army builders. You know, you think people would want more of those, but Tom Laney at least do something to change what they did with the Buzzworthy Cup. Well, again, I think it's more just it's a Target exclusive, and Hasbro just said, "Hey, we're doing this. Do you want it?" And they one for one just repacked. That's all. That's all. Plain and simple. You know, plain and simple. Disciple of Magnus, the $10 super chat. Thank you for the $10 gold super chat, my friend. With so many different releases of Ultra Tryon, I guess you mean Alpha Tryon, at different price points and sizes, how will they affect the worth on the eBay market? What determines value? When it comes to Transformers, it has to do with rarity and scarcity measured against demand of interest. Those are the two things. And sometimes those two things go hand in hand. Something is rare, thus people are interested in owning it. Still to this point, in my opinion, the most expensive Alpha Tryon figure that has ever been made is the BotCon 2007 exclusive, which was, I have to reach for it right now, but I'm not, which was a resculpt of Vector Prime. So how many of those exist? Average BotCon box set is between 2,500 and 3,000 units. So there's about 3,000 of them out there, give or take some extras because Pete and Jesse would always make extras in case there would be broken ones. They need to swap arms and legs and stuff. But on average, 3,000 units of this are available. I don't know what the current open market value is, but I'm going to take a guess. Definitely much more pricey than the 2-pack of what do you call it? Of Orion Pax and Alpha Tryon. The what was it called there? Beginning of a Legend or something? Building of a Legend? Like that would be like the second most valuable one. But how do you predict its value? You have to have something that's definitive with Transformers, meaning like the best example being the Studio Series Roddy. Studio Series 86 Hot Rod was the definitive version of that character. So all the focus goes into that version, and then everyone wants that version, thus the value creeps up. where if you had a lot of decent options, then the value doesn't creep up, you know? So that's one way. But there is more rarer Rodimus figures. There is more expensive Rodimus figures, but that one was doing just as well as, some masterpieces, dare I say, at one point. I remember back in the day, Classics Classics Rodimus, 2006 Classics Rodimus, because of the Protector armor kit, was going between $90 and $100. And keep in mind, this is when MSRP was $10. So you were getting easily 900 to 1,000% profit if you bought a Classics Rodimus and then sold it a year later. It was pretty weird what was going on with that. A year and a half later, excuse me. And that's because of a demand and value. Now that Classics Rodimus, good effing luck, you know? Now, like, no one wants it anymore. That's kind of how the cycles work because now there's something better, you know? Now there is Rodimuses with trailers. There is better, more screen accurate hot rods and Rodimuses. So that kind of stuff really helps you. I always feel with Transformers, investment in terms of long-term value is very short-term. There's always something better around the horizon. There is a few apex figures, meaning like this is the best it'll ever be, and that's that. But in general, there's always something better around the horizon. That Studio Series 86 Hot Rod, I love it. I think it's the best Hot Rod toy thus far. But I said to myself, looking at those yellow knees and everything, something better will come around the horizon in the future. And they have. Look what happened already with both the Mortem Meets the Eye collection and now the Style Gen version. So there's always something better that does come around. And that'll be the case with a lot. I think, though, like DevCon, I don't know where you could go better with that. I don't think they'll want to revisit that character in that design and do it again. So if you got DevCon for $9, I promise you that DevCon that you bought for $9, he will definitely be worth more than $9 in 5 years. But then the flip side of it, let's take a Tigatron. Oh my God, look at this awesome Tigatron figure. That's amazing. And then there's a masterpiece one. And then this one then ends up having yellowing problems. Like you can't sometimes predict how the market is going to react to stuff when little other things happen. I mean, I'm just looking at my collection now. Like, there's a lot of figures that at one point people were paying crazy money, and then they weren't the best of that figure anymore. It happens all the time. So I kind of hope that gives you a better idea. But I don't think there's investing in Transformers in the long run. It's short term. It really is. This is what's hot right now. Get your money while it's hot, and then something else is going to come around that's going to replace it. And that replacement could also be a reissue. You have a Transformer that's worth a ton of money, and then Hasbro decides to reissue it. And now your Cosmoses that you've been sitting on, that you bought a whole bunch from Walmart, are now flatlined in value. So, Decepticon for life. How you doing with the $10 gold super chat? Thank you for that. Not sure if you touched Eden yet, but besides, obviously, what Seeker do you think will be released next? Hoping for Sunstorm. Well, obviously, it's going to be Starscream next. Battle Damaged or whatever. That's because Starscream apparently is on the short list for the More Than Meets the Eye collection for July. He'll obviously get a mainline release too. Look, it's going to be Starscream and Skywarp first. After that, then we could have the Acid Storm, Sunstorm, Nova Storm, Windblades, not Windblades, Nacelle, let's go weird. You'll get all the obscure stuff afterwards, Sunstorm is a trademark that they have to use, so it'll just happen sooner or later. Sooner or later it'll happen. But, and then then they could go even more deep. Ghost Starscream, Dead Starscream. They could go with, what's another wacky one? Like, I remember they did like a gold-colored Starscream over there from Robot Masters. They could do a all gold, Golden Lagoon Starscream. So many So many. You know, there's I've said it before, but when you do a seeker jet, you're good. You're good. You're good for a while. And that's going to be a conversation in the future. Let's put it that way. That's all I could say. You're good. Mikey and Louie, was up? Was up? Was up? My point is, did we have a proper? We did have a proper sunstorm recently. Well, not yet. We'll get one. We'll get a proper. We'll get a proper sunstorm. Right now, the best sunstorm, in my opinion, is the Japanese masterpiece release that came with the King Sunstorm, if you want to call it that. That came with the King Sunstorm stuff. I think that's the best version. The Western release that was a Toys R Us exclusive, I was not a fan of. Didn't really like that one. Too bright the yellow on it. But the Japanese Takara one, masterpiece, was pretty good. I would lean on that one for sure. Good release. Very, very good release. Sorry, I'm just going to move this around because we have a lot to cover later.
Megatron must be stopped.
We got a YouTube member question from Mikey and Louie. Next missing link, guessing after Grimlock. Well, again, I'm predicting a screen accurate Grimlock, blue visor, matte finish, maybe a crown. I think more so because they're going to do something that's animation accurate. So I'm thinking more maybe like a Grimlock's new brain device or something. They'll keep it simple. You know, they'll keep it simple. There's a reason why they did the silver on the sword, so they can make a red sword for the animation accurate one. So there's a bit of a diversity and difference there. After that, I keep saying, give me Unicron, but that's just me. It could be Megatron, could be another Autobot car, could be another Decepticon, maybe Starscream. I've heard rumors of Starscream. So if you ever messed with Robot Masters Starscream, that might give you an idea of like what a missing link version would be like, you know. Was there a listing for Ironhide? That's an interesting one if they do Ironhide. That'll be a very interesting one. I didn't see that one. An Ironhide? With that head sculpt and to make that box art accurate, oof, that's a very interesting choice. And considering that Ironhide in Japan was a mail away exclusive, that makes it even more interesting in terms of the history of it.
The cost.
But see, Horned Owl, Missing Link, Ironhide, and Ratchet would be awesome. Well, if they do like a little, and we've seen third parties do this, little upgrade kits that come with heads or something, that'd be cool. I don't think Jetfire / Skyfire will happen. That tooling is owned by a whole other company. And unless those two companies want to play ball, which is Bandai, I don't think that'll happen. I think if there is one that will probably never happen, it's Jetfire. And not to mention, Jetfire had a 0 release in Japan. So they don't have even a nostalgia or a packaging to homage. But not that they would do that anyways, you know? It's way too risque, that one. So unfortunately, Jetfire, no. You'll have to go and buy the original toy. And again, 1985 Jetfire is pretty amazing. He's that old popey, you know, Macross Bandai articulation. So how much could you improve that anyways? You know what I mean? It's already pretty awesome to begin with. You know, yeah, Roadbuster Whirl, big no. That's not going to happen. Not going to happen. Go buy the originals, or go buy if you want a Missing Link Whirl, go buy the Thrilling 30 Generations version. That one's already pretty cool to begin with. So go buy that one, or the Thrilling 30 Roadbuster. Tom Laney, the original Ironhide and Ratchet toys are already like Missing Link. Yeah, they already have a lot of unique joints and stuff. I don't know. I find that interesting that would be the next one. You know, Missing Link, Hot Rod, and Rodimus. Well, they'd have to have knees to match their box art. I don't know. He's right here. Let's pull this one out. Mine has been modified. If you see here, it has the extra knee joint there. I modified mine to make it like the original prototype. But I don't know. They'd have to give him shoulder joints up there so that he could actually aim his arms forward. They'd have to give him knees here. Maybe and he already has wrist swivels, so that's pretty good. Maybe toe ankle tilts. I don't know. I don't know. There's only so much you could do. Some of those later figures were pretty good to begin with. Jazz would be good. Some of those Diaclone cars that all have like those, call them the peg foot, the single peg foot that's supposed to represent 2 feet. Jazz, Trailbreaker, Prowl. Those would be cool. Do Blue Streak, then you could do Blue Streak, and then you could do Smokescreen, and then you could do Prowl. So then you have all those molds you could belt out in one shot from one character. Once again, if you do Starscream, all those Seekers that you could do. Missing Link figures are not fragile, at least from the ones that I've messed with. I mean, the thing is that as someone that has messed with original 1984 G1 stuff, that could over time feel a little finicky and worrisome. And then as someone who messed with, reissues of those, like let's say the G1 Hasbro collection, where they still have that finickiness because it is those designs. The old saying, with some of those 84, 85 Autobots, one wrong turn and you got a mysterious third alt mode, a convertible, meaning it. So it is what it is, but I don't think they're fragile. They're designed to be more modern figures. And the choices of characters they've done thus far are also characters that historically haven't had breaking problems. I've never seen a broken G1 Optimus Prime. I've seen a G1 Optimus Prime with missing fists, but that's a parts former problem. That's not a breakage problem. I've never seen a broken Sunstreaker. I've never seen broken Bumblebees or Cliff Jumpers. And the other ones I have nothing to compare to because I've never messed with original prototype G1 RC. So, I mean, up to this point, so far, nothing has been fragile. And to make that articulation work, they've obviously factored in breakage points and stress areas. So they've done good. They've done good. And they're great. I love them. But I'm an old man G1 collector, so I kind of dig that stuff. I really do. I really do. Mirage would be great. Mirage, the stuff that I see broken on him is the rail for the legs, like the rails that would hold the legs here, like to clip in and stuff like that. Those are usually worn out and broken on Mirages, I find. And sometimes the spoiler on the back, because it's a small little clip of plastic attached to a die-cast spoiler for the Formula One mode. Sometimes I found those broken. Sometimes not. So Mirage, he's a little more touch and go. From my own personal experience, I've bought and sold tons of G1 Transformers throughout the years, so I've seen a lot of that. But a lot of them are pretty resilient. Just some of those Autobot cars around the rooftops kind of stuff, when it makes the head, that's where it gets a little touch and go. So the next Seeker mold will finally fill down the whole airplane mold. Well, again, if they do a Seeker, just look at what they did with Robot Masters. I think because Robot Masters Starscream just took the G1 toy and tried to modernize it, and this is before classics was a thing. So I imagine it's going to be in that similar vibe. Figure out a way to kind of make that cone go back so it's not just hanging off like straight. Like they'll figure out something. And then you do the cone heads afterwards from that same tooling. There's a lot of ways to do it. James says here, I have an original G1 Jazz in my drawer. No roof, and it's floppy as heck, but he's there. Yeah, well, again, that old ABS plastic, it wears out over time, heat, cold. it just it just gets brittle. And Jazz has a lot of those clear plastics on him, especially the roof. The roof is what breaks because it's a clear plastic. So it's connected to transformation around the head area, much like a prowl and a blue streak. It's not the same 100%, but it's similar. And so that could lead to breakages. And again, these were kid toys that are now over 40 years old. So it's no surprise if they're going to have stuff that's a little busted or worn out at the end of the day. But a lot of good stuff. Again, I like them. I'm looking forward to more. But when they did that RC, that opened the floodgates for me that we could do prototypes, that we could do old G1 stuff. And that's why I want Unicron. Like, I want Unicron. Guys, you can't see it because Roddy's in the way. Let me move Roddy for a moment. I want Unicron next to, and that's in the way too. That's holding Roddy. I want Unicron next to Fortress Maximus, Grand Maximus, and Brave Maximus. I want them next to my big boys over there, you know? So you'll just sit with me for now. But that's what I would want. I want a nice big Unicron next to those guys, just like how I have RC with all the 86 Autobots now. I put the prototype one with the 86 Autobots because I just envision in my mind that's how it would have been back then, you know. That's how it would have been. T-Formers 2002 recently bought a Red Alert, and I'm very careful with the hinges under the roof. Well, Red Alert and Red Alert and Sideswipe, yeah, it's the like you have the bottom lip of what would make the windshield, and there's these two clips that would latch onto the hood, and those could break. Which I found because I haven't seen many problems with Red Alerts, but they're the same mold. But I know that I've seen a few side swipes when I got them throughout the years. The spoilers would be chipped, like they'd be a little damaged around the spoiler areas. Those would be a little messed up, just because it's a different kind of plastic from the legs because the legs are die cast and they're I think they're sonic welded in there if I remember correctly. Like they're not screwed in or not anything. Like you can't remove them or swap them. So the life of a vintage toy collector and the pursuit of perfection is never easy and costly and very costly. Decepticon for life. I only bought two missing links so far, but Prowl and any Seeker, I'm gonna all in. Well, I could see Prowl. I could see Prowl for sure. You know, I could totally see that. Uh, where are we at? Where are we at? Turned yellow. Mikey and Louie, when are we getting some new symbiote plushes? Well, again, there's going to be reveals and surprises at TFCon LA. Stay tuned for that. TFCon LA will be when you get some new stuff. A lot of new things. So stay tuned for that. And as for which Unicron prototype, I would just like the Mango Cron, the one that's with the blue and everything. The green one is interesting with that little, having that little moon element and the plug that we saw from the old Generations guidebooks and stuff. But I would just like the Mango Cron. That's the one that was at BotCon so many times back in the day. That's the one that's in all the museums and everything. And we have, like I actually posted it on Twitter many years ago. We have the instructions for how it transforms, and it transforms pretty easily, you know? So it's something that it could be done. It's a very simple transformation. It's not a complex figure despite its size. So it's just a matter of just making it happen. You don't need to put die cast in it. Just make sure that those like legs that hold it up because they tuck into the body have strong ratchets on it or something. Good POM plastic, really holding it all together. And you're good to go. You're good to go. And then we'll have big old fat Mango Cron and one more off the old list. And then we'll wait for I'm wait for Botanica to happen. Missing link wheelie for the 40th next mini bot. Well, we got that tiny one. We got the deluxe class wheelie. So you could mess with that for now, because that in a lot of ways would be like a missing link. I think if they're going to do another mini bot, I would imagine they're going to stick within the 84 cast and do another pair. So I could see like Huffer and Braun, like I could see those two being done next as a pair together. And then they could do the repaints from that and retools. So you'll get the pipes, and then you'll get the outbacks together afterwards. Where if you did you could do gears and then you could do the swerve too, but I think gears and swerve are lower on the food chain, if you will. Maybe if you're swerve, if you're like a IDW comic reader, but I'm saying like the G1 collectors, I could see Braun and Huffer are a little more up on the food chain. I love all the mini bots, but obviously not all are created equal in terms of popularity. We will see. We will see. But yeah. Oh, McTankies, what's up, man? How you doing? Welcome to the madness. Welcome to the madness. How much time we have left, too? Gotta check that. Where are we at here? Oh, we have only like a couple minutes left, and then we're done for today. Big Bot Bodega, for it being the Beast Wars anniversary, we haven't heard much coming out. I'd like to see depth charge. There's going to be Beast Wars stuff. Don't worry about that. It's just, the thing is that one thing that people haven't realized is the Hasbro team has like just got back to the office from the holidays, and I think none of them are in a rush, so to speak. So just stay tuned. Like, I think that, look, we're going to have Transformer Tuesday. That's when Scourge is going to drop. We'll get some more updates and info from the design team and the marketing team, and stuff will start coming together. What's up, Rylan? How you doing? How you doing? Welcome to the madness. Welcome to the craziness today. But yeah, just gonna have a good evening today. It was a quiet week for news in some areas, and then we got weirdness like the soccer ball and stuff like that. Next week, hopefully, we'll have some more bigger reveals and information. The thing is, everything that we've gotten this week has been like, here's pictures with not much info or context. And I like to have info and context. I like to know what's going on. James, when do you think we will see the renders and such for the whale wave? I imagine that's going to be a San Diego Comic-Con thing. Hasbro always makes a deal with San Diego and goes, hey, we're going to reveal some big old stuff here. There's going to be some cool firsts that are going to be seen at your show. And that's good for San Diego because it gives them like all the press and all the attention and everything. And it makes the con look good, and it gets more people to want to go because then they feel they're part of it. So I guarantee there's a few bullets in the chamber, so to speak, of big items like that whale wave that are going to be debuting at San Diego. Much like how we had the Titan class Grimlock that was in the glass case. That's a big deal. Revealing a Titan class Dinobot at San Diego, pretty big deal. Pretty big deal. Walmart still has the retro line. That is correct. T-Formers 2002. What's for dinner and how is Butters and Tiny? Both of them, it's funny because the weather recently has been really cold and they don't hang out in the basement in winter that much because they just don't like the cold weather. Tiny's the tougher one because she's like, at the beginning of the live stream, she was playing with she has like a little catnip thingy that's shaped like a soy sauce packet. Shows how much of an Asian household we live in. She was playing with it, and so she was making noise, and then she ran upstairs. But Butters, he's next to the heating. He's just enjoying the warmth. He doesn't want to be down here. And what's for dinner? Well, we just bought some cheap steaks. That's all we did. On Saturdays, that's our grocery day. So we go to the supermarket and we look for what would be expensive steaks that are now on clearance, like 40% off because they're going to expire. So we get some cheap steaks. We make them the same day, have them with sweet potato, with broccoli. She had a salad with it. We good. Cost me about, after the discount and everything, it comes about $5 Canadian for those two steaks, because they're going to go bad and they've already been peppered and everything. That's when the steaks are always on their way out. So we had that with sweet potatoes, Japanese sweet potatoes, and broccoli, which we got from Costco, organic broccoli. And it was good with some orange juice. You want to know what I drank too? And yeah, Batman collaboration for San Diego Comic-Con. Very possible. That's another rumored one. Fawn Hart. I'd be down for that. I'm really curious. I hope it's the 89 Batmobile. It's got to be. It's got to be. Aaron Archer's been waiting for his official Transformer Batman for 30 years. Let's make it happen. Tom Laney, thanks, Proto. Always great time. Have a good weekend. And for everyone, get Monday holidays off. Is it? Oh, is it? We have. Oh, maybe it's an American thing. I was like, wait a minute. What do you mean? I got work on Monday. What are you talking about? So I was like, wait a minute. I missed something. Sarah, I had a question about where can you buy the cow and pig Megatron. Oh, you're talking about the Ada Edo. That's currently right now the pre-orders are only available from Takara, but Hasbro will have those up soon. Actually, I think the cow Megatron is already available. The pig Megatron and the Bumblebee set are not available yet. That's later on, to my knowledge. But give it time. Give it time. Everything shows up sooner or later. Oh, it's MLK Day. That's why. I was like, wait a minute, what's happening in Canada? We don't got any holidays. Every day is a holiday in Canada, I guess. But I hope everyone's having a good time. I know I know last week we went into Sociology 101 with our discussions, and I know a lot of people appreciated that. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it, you know. Every week I'm always looking at some new drama that's going on in the United States, and I just wish people would just chill. I wish they'd just chill. You know, have a good time, enjoy your life. We only get one shot at this thing called life. We only get it once. You know, there's no retakes unless you believe in reincarnation. But there's no retakes, nothing like that. Enjoy it. Don't wait to have fun, because if you wait to have fun, you're going to be old and tired, and then you won't be able to have fun. You know, Tom Laney. Sometimes it's good to go off topic. It's good for the soul. It's good for the soul, my friend. You can't just, if your whole life is only one thing, and then that one thing derails for whatever reason, then what is your life? you know. So it's good to talk about that kind of stuff, and it's important. It's very important because I think a lot of people suffer from mental health problems, and they don't know how to manifest it in a positive way. And a lot of that mental health combined with excessive boredom, the mental health combined with like just not having friends or not having community or not having someone to hang out with, then leads to a lot of crazy negative behavior that then, doesn't lead to anything positive for them in the long run. So find happiness, find friendship, find community, and find positivity and creativity. Create, pull up, don't pull down, you know? Way too much pulling down in this world today. Do a lot more of that, you know? Idle hands, good words. Good words, Tom. A lot of like there's it's and it's sad. It's sad because there's a lot of times when there's something crazy going on in the world, I always ask myself, it's like, you know, how better could they have spent their time, that would have led to positive reverberations in their life. Because I spend so much of my time creating. Like, it's go to work, fix cars, aka fix problems, fix people's problems. Every person here who has a car, if their car didn't work tomorrow, they would be stressed and freaked out. Their car is their lifeblood. My job is to make sure people's cars work so they could live their lives. And then after I fix their problems, then I come home and I create podcast segments, comic books, creativity, all of that stuff you know, and I pack my day with that it feels fulfilling and enjoyable. And I see people that wallow in unhappiness, and it's because they haven't found those things yet, that contribution. But once they do, once they find that community and contribution, they'll be happy. And then all of a sudden, all the other negativity that's going on in the world right now won't even matter to you. You'd be surprised how often that stuff gets pushed aside. Sarah says, you make me remember the old saying, the sad day for Canada, therefore the world. This is a sad day for Canada, therefore the world. There's not many sad days for Canada. I think the only sad day for Canada is if we don't win hockey. If we don't win hockey, or I don't know what recently happened with how stuff is being shipped and stuff. That I'm not a fan of. Uh, what's going on right now with that, but that'll fix itself with time. So I'm not too worried. I'll take one more question and then we'll call it quits for today. And it's from Next for Sir. What do you think if Josh Cooley becomes CEO of the Transformers franchise media, like James Gunn, CEO of DC franchise? Well, for one, there is no CEO of the Transformers franchise media. Essentially, you have Hasbro West Coast with Hasbro's studio. It went under a lot of different names. Allspark Productions, Hasbro Studios. So they have their team in the West Coast that has a writing room, and I don't know. They're trying to figure stuff out. I really think a lot of that needs to be brought back to Rhode Island, and have a synergy with the toy team to figure that stuff out properly. Because while I like stuff like Cyber World, that seems like it's on the right track, but I think it was a little too late. I think Cyber World would have been way more successful if let's say Transformers One did very well, and then Cyber World was a half-hour formatted show. I think that it would have been bigger, but hindsight is 2020, unfortunately. But I need to be in those rooms to make any kind of judgment at the end of the day. But right now, Hasbro West Coast uh, is kind of doing their own thing. And if Josh Cooley was there, hey, it's great to have a guy who's a passionate director, but at the end of the day, Josh Cooley has to be in synergy with the toy guys in Hasbro East Coast with Rhode Island. So it doesn't matter who is in that spot if there's no synergy going on with, let's be real, what we're all trying to do here, and that's sell toys. You know, like the Marvel movies don't exist to sell toys. The Marvel movies exist to sell tickets. Hasbro, the Transformer movies exist to sell toys because the only stock options that they're concerned about is their stocks for their toy company. They don't worry about what's going on with Paramount or Skydance or any of their other partners with that. That's not their problem. You know, so the goal is to sell toys, and you can't sell toys if you don't have that proper synergy. When the Michael Bay movies were happening, there was a synergy. The success of the Michael Bay movies led to a completely different synergy afterwards, and the birth of Allspark Studios, and dare I say, the decline of Transformers media as time progressed. That's just my opinion. Things could be changed, things could be fixed, but people have to take those steps first to do that. Big Bot Bodega, are you excited about the Skybound animation project? I have to see it first. I hope it's good. Again, the only thing I could base it on is, oh, well, Robert Kirkman's other creations got good adaptations that were well received. So that's all I could say. In the same way that before Michael Bay released the first movie, all I could do is look at Armageddon, look at Bad Boys, look at The Island, and go, okay, well, these did well. They did okay. So maybe. I didn't know. It's hard to tell because the Skybound Energon universe animation is going to be, I'm going to assume, is going to be something different from what we've been used to up to this point when it comes to Transformer media. Much like how we weren't able to predict the highs and the lows of Siege, Earthrise, and Kingdom with the Netflix exclusive series is. We never really had something like that before. And it showed how those were clearly the growing pains of not knowing how that works for that platform. And it didn't really do well. So we'll see. So we will see. And it's the same thing. We'll see. From what I've seen, the Invincible show did well. It got a new audience. It created new interest. It was a good adaptation. So I feel that basing it based on that, if that is mirrored and kept true in terms of loyalty to brand or source material, would probably be the better word, not brand, but source material. We'll see. We'll see. There is some trouble going on right now behind the scenes that I could speak of a little bit. Nothing too major. Stuff that probably you guys will learn about a year from now, I think, when all the NDAs are gone. But that's more just silly stuff, which aside from that, everything's trucking along nicely. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But stay tuned for that here on the Transformers Slag podcast. But thanks again for all the love and support, guys. Stay tuned. A lot of great stuff coming later this year. Not much I could talk about really publicly right now, but between both the Transformer brand and the Mega Man brand, let's just say I got my fingers in both the goo. And a lot of cool stuff is going to be coming. And the next 6 months are going to be a wild ride. And I hope you guys will be there to join me for it. Again, thanks for all the love and support. If you want to keep supporting the podcast, we got that Patreon link down there. Come join us on the Patreon. Gets you in our Discord, gets your name in the end credit scroll. Hopefully we could do some more fun stuff and everything like that in the near future. Again, the latest episode of Transformers Wild King is on our Patreon right now. Go check that out. It's the last episode of Wild King, so you can go check that out. That isn't region locked. Aside from that, that's it more or less. Or join us, YouTube members, the beautiful green names that we have on the side that we're asking all the questions this evening. So aside from that, we are done for tonight. Thank you as always. We're going to chill tonight. I'm going to go play me some video games. I'm going to go relax with the wifey. And yeah, have fun. Take care. And as always, roll out.